up, everybody?
This is Courtney.
This is Dylan. This is the Everything with the Guffeys.
And we are back recording again.
Yes,
after
we
a
are.
very, very long time. We have been very passionate about this, and this is something that we both truly love. And it took us a while to get back here just because of all of our businesses, having a kiddo.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't.
here we
Don't know.
are.
I'd say if I love it, you definitely had to coax me into this one this time, but I did it the right way this time. We're definitely more legit than last time.
Yes, and we are already scheduling guests on our podcast.
Yes, we are. We're excited to have everybody.
Yes.
So if you guys are seeing this and watching this, because this time we're going to be on YouTube, we are going to do it all the podcast ways. We want this one to blow up and have fun. So if you guys like this, please share it for us, and we would absolutely love that.
So a little bit about us and who we are is we are a husband and wife photo and video team. And
For
we
weddings.
also own two other businesses as well. One is an audio guest book, which is actually to the right of us. We have a whole shelf of all of our phones. And with that, I'm sure you guys have seen the trend. It's an audio guest book for weddings and events. Basically, they pick up an old rotary phone, and from that, your guests can record on it, and they leave heartfelt messages, funny messages. We've heard lots of funny messages.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we also opened up House of Couture this last December.
Yo, shout out to House Couture.
In Winsville, Missouri, that's just something that I'm very passionate about, is wedding dresses. And eventually that will grow and will open up hopefully in other states.
Yeah.
So a little bit about who we are. This is just an intro to who we are. We will be recording once a week, if not twice, once we slow down with businesses. Like Dylan said, we will be on YouTube. We will be on Spotify. I don't really know if we'll be on Apple. I'm not sure. I think most people listen to this stuff on Spotify.
Yeah. And we're doing it in the comfort of our own home. So that's a huge plus. So really, we have no excuse. If you do hear dogs, possibly sometimes hearing a kid run around, maybe. And if you hear a cat in the background, that's just us. That's how we do things. So,
but 99% of the time, we're going to be recording when May's at school.
Yeah, we'll do our best, but we definitely don't want to leave you guys hanging and not just post podcasts. We want to try to post weekly if we can. So, we're going to do our absolute best this go around to keep everything in the loop and keep everybody listening to us.
This also gives a thing, a intro to our clients as well on who we are. This is the Everything podcast with the Guffey. So we're not just talking weddings here. We're talking about everything. I have people coming on here talking about their business. I have people coming on here talking about a near life death experience. I have friends coming on here. I have Dylan's friends coming on here talking about cars.
It's going to be a little bit of everything.
Everything.
We don't want to just limit to one cloud. We want it to be everybody, anybody that wants to come on, shoot us a message if you want to, come on and share, a life experience that you've had that you want people to know about. We'd absolutely love to have you guys. We want anybody's word to get out. And we just want people to, use your word to get out through our podcast.
Yeah. So we're super pumped about this and very passionate about this.
Yeah.
And damn, it's about time.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. This wasn't my favorite thing. It was one more thing to add to my stress load, but I love talking. So I think my wife might have trumped me on what I know about myself. So I'll admit that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about who we are and how we got here.
Okay. So from the first podcast, I will let ladies go first, but we got here because this was an idea that Courtney had.
Oh no, honey. We're not talking about the podcast. We already kind of told them about the podcast, that we used to do this in 2019 and had to unfortunately stop it because we had a kid. You started the business full time with me.
Yeah.
So we were more focused on other things other than the podcast. And unfortunately, sometimes something has to give. And here we are now. We're set up. We have video on us. We have lighting. We have a way better setup. But I'm talking about how you and I got here today.
Okay, go ahead and start.
So Dylan and I actually have known each other for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
To be in fact, we were 14 when we met, and I met him at St. Peter's BMX track. Yeah. And I had my first love, as they call it. And obviously sometimes the first love doesn't work out. And then eventually we broke up. And then a couple of years go by. Dylan and I get together at 16 years old. Dylan, do you want to tell them what happened then?
Yeah, sure. I'm not scared to admit to my faults.
Again, this is the Everything Podcast.
I definitely wasn't the saint growing up, but I wasn't as bad as everyone assumes that I was. So I will say that yes, we met when we were 16. We dated on and off, and what kind of ended it fully was I ended up choosing to date one of Courtney's friends. Didn't do it the correct way, and I obviously learned my lesson, but that relationship did not work out. It kind of fumed out, and we went our separate ways. And then, through that aspect of things, I realized that Courtney was, definitely the right one for me. It took me a long time to understand that, and a lot of mistakes and a lot of falling down to learn that. But look at us now. We're married. We have a kid, 2 cats, 2 dogs, a
You're
house.
probably about to hear our dogs bark in about 3 minutes because we have a dog passing our house right now. But yes, that is also accurate. Fun fact, unfortunately, I hate talking about this. I won't really talk about this on this podcast, but I was married before. I got married young and I did get divorced. And with that being said,
Which
here we
I
are.
also want to add, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you find your love, sometimes you don't.
Yes.
And, you guys went your separate ways, and,
We're kosher today. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And that's at the end of the day, he's happy, I'm happy, and that's all that matters. But fast forward, here we are, I'm 30. You're almost 30. You'll be 30 next week.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Happy birthday, Dylan.
The big 3-0. Ew.
Yes. And we have been married for how long?
Coming up on 5 years.
Very true. We've been together for 5 years, actually next month.
Yeah, been together for 5 years, married for 4, coming up on marriage for 5. Oh yeah, trust me.
Yes.
Try to test me. I got your back.
So yeah, that's a little bit about us. We are, like I said, we're a full-time wedding photo and I cannot talk today. We are a wedding photo and video team. And, obviously we own businesses together. And that's just something that we're very, very passionate about is owning businesses together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it weighs on us. And I mean, we're going to get into like other topics about our life.
Yeah,
and
this is just an intro.
We'll go into deeper detail. So don't think we're just trying to like blow stuff off. We're going to go into deeper detail, with other people that come onto the podcast that ask us questions. And again, Courtney and I both love to talk. So we will definitely share a ton about ourselves because we have nothing to hide. We want you guys to know who we are, and we want you guys to also feel comfortable in life and understand that there's people like you, if you're like us, that share your life. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of tell you who I am, just kind of sum it up where I come from, where, I've grown up, and just a little bit of who I am. Dylan's going to actually do the same. And then for fun, we have a question Q&A.
Well, what if we do the Q&A? Because a lot of my questions will kind of lead into certain things. I can read you my first question. We can do a little test run.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, hold on.
And by the way, we love podcasts. We actually listen to podcasts more than we listen to music now. And that is another reason why we wanted to start the podcast, just because I feel like Dylan and I, we just love to talk and people love that about us. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to start this podcast again.
And we want it to be almost like a little bit random. So, we don't really want to focus on one thing for too long and say like a multiple set of videos. So like we don't just want to talk about one detail. Yeah. We want to talk about everything in a different podcast. So, it'll kind of, we'll bounce back and forth between different podcasts, but right. I'm going to say question 1.
Let's do it.
What has been going on in your life recently that you expected and also didn't expect?
Oh my gosh. Well, I definitely didn't expect that I was going to have my podcast back. I know that's talking about this topic.
I know. I was a little sensitive.
But I was very, very passionate about this. And I almost did this with my best friend, but it didn't make sense for our brand and who I am. I just felt like it would have been kind of dry after a while. And with her working full time, just our schedules weren't going to unfortunately align. So
makes sense.
Here we are, doing this together, which makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And oh man, I would say probably the podcast or the bridal shop. It took off a lot faster than I thought it would.
Heck yeah.
It
did.
And I'm very passionate about that. What is your biggest goal?
Biggest goal? Oh man. Biggest goal right now is you know, because I think goals change, to be completely honest with you, over time. But I would say my biggest goal right now, that's, you know, in the now, my long-term goal is keeping my family stable and happy. Having a daughter has changed a lot of things inside my head. I thought I was going to live in a, you know, car shop for my whole life growing up, and getting married, you know, having, you know, the traditional American family has changed a whole lot. So keeping my family stable is like my biggest thing. So doing whatever it takes. You know, I've had to pick up jobs. I've had to do things when we get slow, and, you know, I work as hard as I possibly can to keep everybody around me happy, and, you know, put myself second most of the time. So that's just who I am, and it's what I love to do.
Awesome. Awesome. You want to just bounce back and forth?
Heck yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Question number 2 for Courtney. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
This is a good question to ask me because I am always thinking, people think we're crazy because I'm always thinking about, you know, what's next. That's just my brain, like my brain. It doesn't. Like I'll be laying in bed and like my mind's like shut
Sorry
off.
for the earbud users.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this would be really cool to do. But where I see myself in 5 years is I plan on growing the bridal shop. So ideally, I would like to have bridal shop number 2, whether that's in Missouri or in Tennessee near Nashville, because Nashville is like one of my favorite places to be.
Nash Vegas.
Yep.
Ugh.
Obviously still living in this house because we do love this house, updating this house a little bit. May will be in school then, so that's like crazy to
It's
think
gonna
about.
be wild that our daughter's gonna be in actual school, not daycare.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
But pretty much that, maybe doing some real estate investing, hopefully in 5 years, if not 10 years. But really it's all business things. Right now our plan is to only have one kid, and we are very, very happy with having one kiddo.
Absolutely.
Very content in life like that. So I really don't picture us having another kid in the future. If we do, we've talked about possibly adopting, but just with the way the world is and everything, we're very content with having
Yeah,
one
it's
kid.
just not in our deck of cards right now.
Yeah. So really just more business things, honestly, as you should have known that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Dylan. What are you afraid of?
Ooh, what am I afraid of? Well, recently, I would definitely say I am definitely don't have a love for spiders. Never really did, but I really don't now. I got as Courtney's mentioned, we work weddings, and I was shooting a wedding with another photographer because I do video on our side of the business, and I got bit by a brown recluse. And little did I know it was a bite. It just felt like my hair got pulled. It was no big deal. I itched it, and then about a day or two went by, and it kind of looked like an ingrown hair on my leg, TMI. But I popped it, and then it went way worse. I dealt with it for about 4.5 weeks. Couldn't walk for 2 days because it ate a hole in my leg. I now have a lovely scar, brown scar on my leg from it for where the skin grew back. And yeah, it was not fun being a father of many in this household, and a husband, and having to deal with a leg that didn't work very well because of poison.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say spiders, but anything else, I'm willing to give a try at least once.
Yeah, I knew exactly where that was going.
Yeah, definitely.
I knew exactly.
Yeah, I don't mess with spiders. We spiders and I have a mutual agreement. They stay outside and they don't come in my house. So
Spiders like freak me out, but they don't freak me out as much as snakes. Snakes I cannot do.
yeah, see, snakes
Like,
don't really bother
if
me.
you were to put like a fake snake near me, even I would probably like pass out and have a heart attack.
Yeah, that's one joke that like even I don't
I will
play.
hate you.
I
if you-
do not play. All right. So, question number 3. How did you get to where you were where you are today in your life, career, and etc.?
Okay, so I'll just sum this up with photography because we'd be here for like 3 hours talking about all of our businesses.
Yeah, we're going to touch on a lot of that in different ones, but this is just a summary.
But growing up, I've always seen my grandfather with a camera. It was birthday parties, parties, anything that was like a moment, a memory. He always had his camera. And I just thought that was so cool. And then as I've gotten older, I picked up a camera when I was like 15, started taking pictures of my friends. I would import them on my Mac or my computer, and then I would edit them on, I believe it was called iPhoto back then.
I think
I
so.
can't really remember what it was called.
Yeah,
It was like very basic editing.
yeah. I just forgot what it was
It was
called,
like
but it was some
brightness, contrast, highlights, shadows. So it like kind of touched on like the tools and everything.
deep tools, but
Yeah, exactly.
not fine tuning.
Yeah, for sure. There wasn't like a color wheel or like I don't think there was like clarity or luminance or anything like that. But I learned how to kind of edit at a young age, and then I went to school. Originally, I was going to go to school whenever I graduated to either be a paramedic or be a dental assistant. So then I ended up going to the dental assistant route because I was eventually going to be a dental hygienist and became a dental assistant. Did it for a few years, absolutely hated it with everything in me. It was not who I was. The pay sucked. I will gladly say that because I feel like dental assistants need to get paid more. And I also feel like it was just something that I was not passionate about. And I was so young as well. And I was like, I can't keep doing this for the rest of my life. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So what can I do? So
Yeah, we were also just in a different place in the world, I think.
yeah, for sure. So I started like brainstorming, what am I passionate about? What makes me happy? Because my grandfather always taught me, at a young age, do something that you love and you'll never work a day in your life, pretty much. I love that saying. I love that quote. And I picked up a camera again and I started taking pictures and started falling back in love. I created CMS during that time. I actually got my LLC like within like 3 months of opening my business. And
Which will be a podcast topic coming later.
yes, exactly. So started becoming a photographer, still worked as a dental assistant. And then I kind of, at the time, I was taking everything and anything. And then I realized weddings were like my favorite. I'm just going to sum this up really quick because this, like Dylan said, will be a very long topic for another day. Started wedding photography, loved it. After 2 years of being a dental assistant, was able to quit my job because I had 10 bookings. And I knew at that time with 10 weddings and my ex-husband's salary, we were able to make it work. And ever since, I want to say I quit in 2016, 2017. And ever since then, I've been a full-time wedding photographer.
Yeah, which I know, now it's hard to think back, but you were very grateful for, and we are now because it's gotten us to the point where photography has been able to open up videography and then also buy us a house, buy us another house. We got your dream car. We are very thankful for our clients, and we are super thankful for photography being as lucrative as it is in this state that we live in.
Yeah.
And I want to do a huge shout out to any of our, photography clients that are listening. Thank you guys for supporting us and coming back to us for family photos or for maternity shoots. We absolutely love you guys for that. And we wanted to give you guys like a vocal thank you because I know we thank you guys through text messages and stuff because we're also super busy all the time. But we really wanted to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts from both of us on that one. So
ready?
Always.
Who is your inspiration?
Who is my inspiration? Oh man, this is kind of touching on a lot of things. I'd say that's almost an entire podcast topic, but I have a lot of, is it inspirators? Is that the word? I don't think that's a word. Okay, influential people in my life. It started off with my dad. I looked up to him. He did a lot for us growing up and always worked hard. And later in life, it was my mom. My real father passed away. And I watched my mom fight through that and do a lot of things, which we'll get into in that podcast with my mom. But I watched my mom work extremely hard to not only fund my previous addiction of motor vehicles,
which we'll talk about.
Which we'll talk about with a good friend of mine. And then it became, she worked even harder to support my sister's gymnastics. Watched my mom get married, which was a very surreal thing in life, to get married to my stepfather, who has taken care of my mom in words that I cannot express how grateful I am of him for doing so. And he's actually taught me a lot in life. So he's an inspirator. And then I would say just a lot of the people growing up in life, my grandparents, having two houses and then making the choice to move to the lake because that's where they were happiest at that time. That was huge to see, okay, this is, what you do when you grow up. You make choices, you work hard, and you get to do the things that you're happy. So I really, really thank my grandparents for teaching that to me at a young age, and I don't think that they know that they did that,
Yeah.
but they really did, because seeing them down at their lake house, they were so happy, and for being as old as they were, watching them work day in and day out,
Mhm.
it was, yes, they retired from the 9 to 5 work,
Right.
but they went and still kept building their dream every single day at their
Right.
lake house to make it as beautiful as possible, to the point where people would literally, boat by on their boats on the lake and look at their property because of how beautiful it was. And it was just them two taking care of it.
Right.
They didn't have a garden company. They did not have people come out and do leaves. It was day in and day out, and they even did it when they were working normal jobs as well. I remember my grandfather going down there and pushing rock, and the family helping him as much as we could.
Right.
And those are some of my fondest memories of going down there. And, during I think it was, I guess, the fall when they would lower the lake, kind of winter time, we would go down there and burn all the leaves off their property because their property was so big and they had so many trees. So to keep the rock and, my grandpa's custom waterfall that he built, the deck and everything, just keeping it nice and tidy, we had to go down there and help them burn leaves.
Right.
And so I would say, I don't know. I just kind of look at everybody as an inspiration. I look at you as an inspiration because I came from a
He's
nine
just
to
trying to get
five.
brownie points.
Always got to get brownie points, but coming from a 9 to 5 and convincing me that we can do this. I mean, I was absolutely terrified to quit my job because it was secure income. It was a job that I could go to. I knew that I had, and it was one of those things where it was just like
Now it's commission
to
based.
do this, and you have to work. There is no choice. And like, for example, we got super low on money, around Christmas time because we were buying Christmas gifts. We were opening up the bridal shop and we were spending more money than we technically had. And I had to do DoorDash
Yep.
so we could be able to afford gifts for people. And, it's just
Like
one
I
of those
said,
things.
We're going to be completely raw and honest with
Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
We have so many topics to discuss in this podcast, and we're not going to tell you what's in our bank account and how much money we make a year. Obviously, you guys know we make 6 figures, but we're not going to tell you, exactly how much money we
Yeah.
make. So,
And I mean, decisions that have, obviously like, weighed on our bank account difference, situations that we'll talk
Yeah.
about in, up and coming podcasts. But, another inspirator in my life, or influencer in my life is my daughter. She has showed me so many things that I need to slow down in life because I'm watching her grow so fast.
so fast.
And she's learning so many things at a rate of speed that our parents used to say slow down, and I used to go, no, I want to get old, I want to get so I can drive and so I can go places and buy things and do stuff.
Go to the mall.
And now I am in those shoes, and you really start to feel that
Right.
wow, 100 years on this planet is not enough.
Not enough. But I think as we progress with technology and everything, I think they're going to be keeping humans alive longer.
Oh, absolutely,
Which
absolutely.
also, that'd be kind of a cool topic to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we
just have
can.
to have facts.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with the fourth question. How have you changed the most over the last year?
Over the last year?
Yeah, I know this could be a sensitive one. I was kind of hesitant to put it on there,
Oh.
but I think it needs to be touched on.
This will be a podcast for another day. This is just a year though.
Yeah, it's just a year.
So I was really battling anxiety and panic last year, which I have a whole actual topic to talk about this. My whole, issue with having my first panic attack at, 28, 29 years old. And how I've changed is learning to say no. Like that is like the number one thing is putting things into place, learning to say no, putting things aside, putting things that are more important before other things.
Right.
And I just feel like that has really helped with like who I am today. And also, just giving myself some grace. I used to be like work. I used to not be able to schedule my stuff correctly, such as like I would schedule like a session here and then I would schedule.
For the quick intermission break, we are not sponsored by anyone for this podcast.
We're back. We had to take a break. There was a loud truck outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I've just learned to give myself some grace and learn to prioritize things that were important in my life. And
Yeah.
I just learned from a year ago that has really helped with my anxiety. And I would just put too much on my plate, expect to be superwoman. And obviously I'm not superwoman.
She, beyond the contrary, is actually a people pleaser.
Yes. And it was not healthy to be like that all the time. And it wasn't healthy to constantly, put people before me and constantly just take anything and everything and put it wherever. And I really learned this year and like within last year to put things in place. Obviously, if my clients can't book out in advance, then unfortunately they need to go to another photographer. And I really
And I mean,
implemented that.
to touch on that, we don't like doing that.
Right.
It's not something that we love to do, but it is something that sometimes is needed because
Right.
we are not robots. We do not work like machines.
Yeah.
We
And
have seasons where we do work constantly, but we try to not do that all year long.
And most people, and a lot of our clients understand this, but like, for instance, we were working last night until about 11-ish o'clock at night.
Oh yeah.
And, we have nights like that, especially when we get busy, but we try not to work at night that late if we don't have to. But taking less sessions, taking, less clients as far
Yep.
as like family sessions go and stuff like that, because primarily we do shoot weddings. So that's kind of really what our brand is. And then obviously our repeat like wedding clients, because I love
Yeah.
seeing them, love seeing their families, love watching them grow. But with it just being me and Dylan, and then we do have an associate, I've just learned to really put things kind of, on like I take less is what I'm trying to say. And that
Yeah.
has just really helped with my personal anxiety.
Yeah. Good.
All right, Dylan. So
So.
let's see here. How did BMX impact you?
Oh my. Well, I guess we can start on the negative side of things. BMX unfortunately showed me some things that I still till this day wish I could go back. It's kind of weird to say that I want to go back. I guess a
So you
regret.
could start dating me so young.
It was, yeah, I mean that would be fun, but no, I quit that sport and I shouldn't have. And I had my mom and my father was still alive at the time. They allowed me to quit. And I thank them for that now, being older. And really asking me if I wanted to, but I quit something that I was good at. And it actually unfortunately created a pattern now as I get older and I study myself more, and I'm starting to like learn how to self-reflect and really focus on certain things so I understand what it means to me and
Right.
inside my body. And it brought on something inside my body that created a really bad habit. And it showed me that I could get really good at something
Yeah.
and then just quit and have no emotion to it.
Mm.
And so now
Right.
I miss going to the BMX track. I mean, I lived almost my entire life at the BMX
Right.
track. And when you go back, I mean, I was there all the time. My dad wanted me to obviously be the best, and so did my mom. They cheered me on through the stands to the point where like I heard my mom over anyone
Yeah.
screaming at me, tell me to pedal faster. I trained with my dad at a very early age as an Olympian. I mean, I was pulling bike tires behind my bike. I was doing sprints up hills. I was balancing on clips. I mean, to the point where if you go back, nowadays, it would almost look like child abuse.
Right.
But I absolutely loved riding my bike, and it always came with a trophy and something that I won.
Yeah.
And again, to kind of touch on the negative side of things, it didn't really help me in team sports because yes, we had a BMX team, which shout out to all those people that if you listen to this, I love you guys and miss you guys. But it was you line up on the gate and either you get first or you don't win.
Right.
There is no team. There is no nothing. It is I.
Last.
Yeah, pretty much. Good Ricky Bobby, what do I do with my hands? If you're not first, you're last.
Copy them, and that your people are going to hear that.
And so that is just one of those big things that I don't know. I mean, it taught me so many things as I get older, all the habits that I learned from not only my mom teaching me things, but my dad teaching me things, training. It taught me a lot of things that I implement in my life now, and I don't even realize it.
Right.
I like click out for a second. I'm like, oh, that's why they used to do that. Yeah. And so there's a lot of positive things that it helped me with. It helped me to learn that, you can work as hard as you possibly can, and sometimes you still get second.
Right.
And that's bitter. I mean, it's
Right.
bitter, but it does happen. There will always be somebody that is better than you, but it also taught me that you can keep going and still try to be number one and still always try to push and push and push. And so I don't know, BMX, it had a lot of there's a lot of emotion there. It's definitely a sensitive subject inside me, and I've reflected on it a lot. Like my legs shaking because I'm talking about it. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, no,
Maybe
that's a
this will
sensitive
have to
subject.
be another topic, and maybe we can bring somebody on.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
did BMX.
I would
with
have
you.
to, yeah, I'd have to reach out to a couple people and see if they would be willing to come out here.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
currently, right now, who Well, who and are your favorite bands? And it can be a couple. It doesn't have to
Oh
just be
my
like limited to
gosh.
one genre.
Yeah, right. Like I
Yeah, I
feel
just
like
want to do a random one out there.
yeah, I love that.
Get away from like the mushy stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, it depends on the day, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
and like I kind of mentioned
I
earlier,
feel like
I
we're both
listen.
really like that too.
Yeah, I feel like we listen to more podcasts than music. However, when I do listen to music, it like I said, it depends on the day.
Yeah.
I really like Zach Bryan. I really like, well, I did like Machine Gun Kelly. I'm not a fan of his newer album, the Sellout one, but I did like the other one, which I'm blank right now. I can't think about it. But I kind of like everything and anything. I'm obsessed with Steve Aoki. If you know me, I love his, music that he creates. I
Yes.
love, if you guys have Netflix
Dubstep, EDM, that's your thing for
and
sure.
yeah, but it maybe back when I was like 18, but
I still think you like it.
I do it, but sometimes it gives me freaking headache. Like I feel like
Well,
I'm
yeah.
getting like,
You're not the type of person to go raving at a
listen to me.
club.
No, I'm not like
Yeah,
that.
no. Or
But
go
I
to like
really,
a show or a
yeah, no,
festival. You're not that type
no.
of person. You just like listening to it.
I really like Steve Aoki. I love what he creates. But I'm also very passionate about him as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
If you guys have Netflix, definitely go watch his documentary. It's so good, and it
I
made
don't,
me.
is it still on there?
I would imagine. If not, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But obviously, like I love indie music. I really like acoustic music. Those are probably like my favorite genres. As far as music goes, I love, it just depends. Like I love 70s, I love dance, I love house music, I love rock. I grew up, this is gonna get me in, this is gonna kind of throw me off, but I grew up in middle school listening to like Slipknot, and you look at me now and you're like, this girl listens to Slipknot. Like
Disturbed and all that
I
stuff.
didn't
Yeah.
ever really listen to Disturbed, but screamo music was a thing, and I freaking love that.
Yeah. I was jamming to it the other
Um,
day.
but nowadays people like are like, what's this? Are you worshiping something? No, but like I listen to Slipknot, I listen to like all the heavy metal, like screamo music, which sometimes I still like to listen to, boys like girls even. But yeah, I mean, that is like a really hard question for me,
Yeah.
to answer
Yeah. No,
really.
and I thought that would be a good one just to kind of get out there
Yeah.
and just show that you like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So this is my final question for you that is kind of jumping back into business, but what is one idea that experts in your field
Mhm.
say that you absolutely disagree with?
Oh my
I know
gosh.
this is a wild one, but we're being vulnerable. We're being, here for the public and possibly a new photographer coming, into the world or videographer. So I just want you to answer that on something that you just in the photography world you just disagree with, and you don't have to shame anything or shame anyone by any
I
means.
know.
I just want
Yeah.
you to just mention something that you just disagree with in the world of photography. Well, I guess wedding photography. We'll just limit it to wedding photography.
Um, I would probably say like this is really for like newer photographers is a lot of like established photographers will tell the newer photographers to specialize in one, thing, whether that's
Right, right.
newborns, whether that's families, whether that's weddings. I disagree with that. I would say in the very beginning of your career, just to get your feet wet,
Yeah.
specialize in everything because you might end up shooting newborns and loving newborns
Yeah.
or learning about newborns, and you might see like, hey, I don't have to work on the weekends with this, and I want to specialize in newborns or families. But I think get your feet wet when you start photography and just kind of shoot everything. Pick up your camera, shoot your best friend and her family, shoot
Well,
your mom
yeah.
and dad, shoot your grandparents, capture all the moments of everything, and then really start to utilize and see what you are liking to capture as a
If what you're liking the
photographer.
most. Yeah.
Which, hindsight, this is where I learned I love weddings so much because
Yeah, you did a little bit of everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still kind of do, but technically I don't really do boudoir anymore. I don't know if I would really shoot boudoir much. We don't have a studio. We have access to a studio, but I don't love boudoir like I used to.
Shout out to the Youngs.
But I love weddings, and that's just what I'm good at. That's where I'm comfortable, and that's just kind of, where I'm at. But start in the very beginning, whether it's for a year, 2 years, kind of focus on everything
Yeah.
photography. That way you can kind of learn lighting with that. You can connect with other people. But I agree that that's my own input. Some photographers will be like specialize in one thing and one thing
Yeah, no, I
only
just wanted to
and
hear
get
what
that
you
brand
had to
perfect.
disagree with. That, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's great. Good.
What do you do to distress?
What do I do to de-stress?
Yeah. I
That's
knew
a
this was gonna
very,
be a funny one.
very loaded question. Not much anymore. Um, I definitely take on a lot in our family life because you obviously run all three of our businesses on the business side of things,
Like
and
emails,
yeah,
DMs,
emails,
social media.
social media and
Never
stuff
know.
like that. Yeah, and I do post and I do things, but I am a horrific speller. And so she
Yeah.
has completely locked me out of doing anything on Facebook.
Yes.
But I'm also smart enough to be like, hey, can you please proofread this?
Yes.
So I don't look
And
like an
emails.
idiot. And emails are pretty bad. So if you get an email from me,
Just message me.
business wise, my bad if I spell anything, but it's my authentic self.
Yeah.
So I will say, what do I do to de-stress? To be completely honest, lately, it sounds so weird, but I found this like rhythm, and I shower with candles now. That's a huge de-stress. I turn the lights
So
off.
bougie.
No,
But
it's just two
honestly,
candles
it's in
just
there
to,
and it's ambient.
it's just two candles to keep the bathroom lit, but showering in the dark
Mm-hmm.
gives me such a wonderful break on my
Yeah.
eyeballs.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yep.
And instead of having the bright LEDs that we have in our bathroom,
Right.
just the ambiance of the candlelight and just taking a shower is awesome because I also do take only cold showers. So it's already brutal as it is. And then I would say another thing I do to de-stress is, which has recently come about, is watering my flowers in the morning. And just it's so weird to just say that I water flowers, but I also
I
like
think
water
you
the
love
grass.
plants, period.
I do love plants.
Yeah.
I do love like watching them grow. It is definitely an
Let
old
me
man
just
thing.
tell them that we went to Everett's because I wanted to go. I picked out 90% of the flowers. He picked out 10%, which he had
He
a
said
lot
no
of
to the
input.
flowers I wanted.
And this dude comes home and he just starts planting right away. And I said, all right,
Yeah.
I'm just going to let you do your thing.
I think that's just like the building inside of me. Like I used to build cars. Well, I wouldn't say I
Totally
used to
thought my hands were
be a
gonna get
mechanic. I don't know
dirty.
if I really like built cars. It's a loaded question as well. But yeah, no, I think I just like using and like doing stuff with my hands. So
It sounds very dirty.
no, I wouldn't say none of that. You don't want the explicit name, so you better chill out with all that stuff. But I would just say, just like I really like building stuff and doing stuff like that. So I don't know, all the stuff that used to relax me, I do not do anymore. I don't really have the time for it, don't have the setup for it. I could make time and do stuff like that, but I would have to take time from other areas that I just personally just don't want to take away from. So yeah, I mean, I will get to that in a different topic, but it can. That one will spark a discussion for sure. That
Yeah.
we have to be. I have to be a little bit careful about because it's sensitive. But
Right.
you guys will see that side of us, and I mean,
Yes.
you guys will see us.
Honest, raw,
Yeah,
authentic.
we're married, so you'll see us
Yeah.
bicker. You'll see us kind of take hits at each other on this podcast, and that's just part
We
of
like
it.
to roast each other.
Yeah.
That's just who we are. Dylan, you asked me one more question. I have one and then we'll wrap up.
You can just ask me that one because all mine are like ending questions. So just ask me that one real
Okay.
fast. Yeah.
This is honestly just funny. If you could describe your wife with one word, what would it be?
One word.
Yes, one word. You only get one word.
One word. Multiple syllables.
Just one word. It can be like amazing. Because I know.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
So
But am I?
I'm trying to think of a word that is way above my pay grade. I'm gonna go ahead and say. I'm gonna say fantastic. I think that's the word that keeps coming. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Because
Yes,
because
give me an example.
your ideas can be fantastic. Your attitude can be fantastic.
Can be.
Yes. And that's where like I think the word fantastic, and I know it's so weird and people might disagree with that, but it's just everything that you've done and accomplished and stuff like that is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're
I love
welcome.
You.
Love you too. I know that's a weird word to put on
That's
it, but
cute. I love it. But anyways, that is all.
Yeah,
I'll let
that's
you
it.
ask me one more.
no,
and
so I got the closing questions for
Yeah.
you already prepped. So what can people expect from us next? So like what's
For the
coming next?
podcast,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
absolutely.
So basically with this, we're just going to grow with our podcast because this is a very awesome hobby, honestly, that we have that we really truly love.
Yeah, I guess to go back to that question, this could be a de-stressor for me because I get to talk.
Yeah, and like I said, we're gonna do this once a week. Whether we,
Yeah.
I'm hoping we do this mostly on Mondays, but if we have to do it another day like today, but
Mhm.
we're just gonna grow. We're gonna have guests on here.
And so the best place you can find
Yes.
us is obviously Instagram, and then YouTube. So
Yes. So
that's really
on
about it.
Instagram, just so I'm telling you guys correctly,
Yeah.
we are the Guffey's Pod. So it's the, and then it's GUFFEYSPOD. And then we're going to be on Spotify as well. And it's going to be Everything with the Guffeys. So we
And
will
then
be uploading
YouTube will also be everything with the
everything
Guffies.
So we will be uploading everything with this first episode, and then we will be implementing all of that stuff. So thank you for listening. Bye, guys.
Bye guys, coming to a screen near you.